Hello, everyone. I am so excited to be on here with you today. Welcome to the Lifestyle Podcast. Yay! With your host, JurLonna Hermon. Today, I'm really going to be talking about and going over my ultimate goal for 2025. And I think it's going to be very encouraging. And that's what the Lifestyle Podcast is. It's about encouraging Christian believers who believe in Jesus Christ, encouraging them in the areas of being abundant in their finances, being abundant in their health, in their family, in their education, career, business, really have a level of abundance in every area of your life. So that's what it's all about. And I had to get on here today because I was thinking like, oh my gosh, like I have to talk about my ultimate goal for 2025, which is really about being a great steward over the things that God has called me to do. Now, you might say, okay, isn't that like a normal thing that we should be doing, right? Well, at the end of the day, I think the difference between this year and the previous years for myself is being more intentional. You know what I mean? Like really being intentional, like looking at everything that God has given me in my hand and ask myself, okay, how can I make this better? How can I maximize this? How can I multiply it? I looked up the definition of stewardship, and the definition talks about, taking care of something, right? And so I think about the parable regarding the talents, right? Remember, the master was hot. Okay, he blew a biscuit. Okay, when it came to the particular guy who said that I buried it because I didn't want nothing to go wrong, and I know how you are. What? But he praised the two of the individuals who basically said, I multiply it. Even the one that only multiplied just a little, he still praised them because guess what? It was better than what he gave it. He got it back better than what he originally gave it to him. At the end of the day, that's what stewardship is about. And I really believe for me, it's being more intentional. We can do, if you're like a high achiever and if you're like a one that always have goals, because I'm one of the ones that always have my goals, right? But at the end of the day, like, are we being really intentional about what's happening in those particular areas of our life, right? And one of the things that I want to share because of my intentionality when it comes to each area of my life, I have some testimonies, right? And so one of my testimonies is dealing with health. And I remember maybe a couple months ago, I was fixing a pot of coffee, right? Now listen, I don't bring any condemnation anywhere, okay? This if you convicted, don't be sending me no emails. But because I used to love coffee. If everybody knew me, you know that I love coffee, right? Couple months ago, I was fixing a cup of coffee in my kitchen, right? And at the end of the day, I heard this voice say, and I knew it wasn't my voice, say, this is going to be your Achilles heel. And I was like, what? What do you mean? I'm like, this is the devil. Who's speaking to me like this? So I was like, Achilles heel. And so when I really looked up the word, those phrases, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like the weakness. I took it as the death of me, right? Or this would be my downfall, right? This would be something that would hinder me to move forward. I was just sitting there. I try to act like I didn't hear it. I'm gonna be honest with you because I'm like, what? Coffee? I mean, it's just only coffee. And I really believe the reason why the Holy Spirit was sharing that light with me because at times coffee would give me heart flutters, right? But then the other times, I think I made it an idol. I hate saying that. And really, and the reason why I say that, because I used to be one of those ones like, oh, I'm not addicted to coffee, only drink it Monday through Friday, only drink it when it's time for me to work so I can have the energy, right? No, Linda, no. That's not how it went. When I really observed my behavior, I really felt like I was a crack fiend. Okay. So I remember one day when I was in the office in North Carolina and at the end of the day, I didn't have a coffee pot in the office, right? And so I was like, oh, there's a store up the street. I can just run up there. It's literally like 2 minutes away and get a coffee pot, right? Okay. So I walked in the store. I saw this coffee pot, and then the box was pretty much bent up and stuff like that. And I literally heard that, and that internal voice, I really believe it was the Holy Spirit, was saying, no, don't get that one. And I was like, and again, I ignored it because I'm like, oh, this is the cheapest one. Look, I just need something to make me some coffee, right? So I got all the ingredients and all that. I was so excited. I got to the office, pulled out the coffee pot. Guess what? It was cracked. It was bent. I mean, the glass was broken. And I was just like, I gotta take this back. But you know what? I was still thinking about I really need my cup of coffee so I could start my day, right? So I left the office again, went back up there again, and I traded out. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Then I was having all kinds of troubles of trying to fix me a cup of coffee. Finally got me a cup of coffee. And I just want to say it was like maybe 2 or 3 hours later. In the back of my head, I realized I think I have a problem, Linda. I think I have a problem. I remember being in part of this prayer group, or my church was having all night prayer at the end of the year, right? And so we was in these different prayer groups, like sharing with each other about like, what are some of the things that might be an idol in our life that has been a stronghold. And I really believe the Lord was really dealing with my heart relating to this coffee thing. And I brought up coffee. I mean, come on, if you know me, like, why? Listen, I'm not addicted to coffee. No, but I need it. No. Okay, never mind. Anyways, so I told them, I said, listen, hold me accountable. Okay. I'm going to try to go without coffee. And it was like, okay, we got you. And they prayed for me or whatever. Well, it was a process. I said, well, maybe I only drink it twice a week. Or maybe I only do, I was kind of reasoning and rationalizing with God, right? And so finally, I had a heart to heart conversation with God. And I said, I understand. I'm going to give it up. And I pretty much was like, okay, listen, can you, because I noticed that it was part of a ritual of mine, like my morning ritual. I would fix the coffee and I started relying on that, saying like, okay, I can't get work done. If I didn't have my coffee, I kind of had it back in my head, like, I already know that my work day is going to look different. Okay. And so pretty much I told the Lord, I said, can you replace this with a healthy version without caffeine? And then he gave me the idea of robust tea, because robust tea is herbal. It's based out of South Africa. And he was showing me like, listen, without doing the creamery and all that artificial stuff, then just do a little bit of honey if you want something a little sweet in it. And I made that my little ritual, like, okay. And then what I realized is that this is good for me, right? It's healthy for me. So literally it's been, I mean, I'm recording this, this is March 10th, 2025. And pretty much I've been without coffee for over a month and a half now, close to 2 months now. Now that's a big deal. Okay. So to me, that's a great example of like, how to be a great steward regarding my health, because in order for us to be here on this earth, we have to have our body. Okay. So we are a spirit, we teach this a lot at our church, but just for some people who are new to this concept, and a lot of the world teachings kind of warped this demonstration, but pretty much we are a spirit first, and then we have a soul, and all of those things live in this body. And so in order for us to live here on earth, we have to be in this vessel. Okay. Without this vessel, you won't be on earth. Okay. So I knew I had to steward that properly, and that was one of the things. And so now another thing that I've added to my regimen is also I've added intermittent fasting. And so the cool thing about intermittent fasting is that I'm like really denying my flesh first thing in the morning. I'm calming down and saying, listen, I'm going to drink some lemon water. Okay. Let me allow my body to wake up. Let me allow my organs to wake up instead of always trying to put food in my body as soon as I wake up. Right. And let me tell you something. By doing that, I think I have my brother and my husband said, listen, you have more energy now than you did when you used to drink coffee. So God was showing me different things here and teaching me. And so at the end of the day, I've been doing the intermittent fasting. I don't eat anything until like probably like 12 p.m. or 1 p.m. I eat. And then in that window of time, maybe 2 hours before I go to bed, then that's when I stop eating. And so it has been working. My energy levels have been amazing. I'm not having energy crashes. I'm actually working at full speed throughout the day, which is a big deal. Okay. So again, another example of stewarding the things that God has given us. Another one, finances. Okay. Listen, when I used to do my finances, like look over them, I used to break out in sweats. I used to have anxiety. And I said, I have to be more intentional. I cannot just turn a blind eye. Like I can't just like, oh, it's going to work itself out. Right. So I really had to have a come to Jesus meeting with myself, really, about like, listen, God is going to increase you, and He has been increasing our finances. But if we're not managing them properly, all that will end up doing is causing more headache. Okay. More taxes, more debt, more whatever out of control because you're not paying attention. So I've been very diligent of really looking at our finances, having certain things in savings accounts, really having a solid budget. Okay. And one thing I love about this particular process is that I've been saturating myself with different teachings. I listen to certain podcasts regarding this. Again, it's about stewarding the things that God has given you. So I'm thinking like, listen, if he's going to bless us with more, I need to show him that I'm doing great with the things he already given me, right? And so that's what that's all about. Now, business, I noticed that the thing that keeps me in place when it comes to business to make sure that we're growing, to make sure I show up where I'm supposed to show up, is that I need accountability. Okay. So that's the reason why I keep some type of accountability coach on board. And that could be in a manner of a business coach. Maybe I take a class or whatever. It's just keeping me accountable. So I know those are the things that will hold me accountable to show up. I have to implement that in my day-to-day routine, in my plans, so I can be a great steward over the things that God has given me. So for you, if there's something that you know that, okay, I fall short when it comes to my finances. Well, that's the part where you need accountability, right? So this, accountability sometimes can sound like a cuss word, but at the end of the day, that's what helps us stay in check. That's what helps us to really maximize and being a great steward over the things that God has called us to do. Okay. Now, education, that's another area of our life, right? And so I'm like really a big advocate right now. Like I'm getting all kinds of training, teaching. I'm studying the Bible. I'm reading through the Bible each day, each morning. Okay. I'm using a particular Bible, a chronological Bible. So each day I'm reading through the Bible. Okay. And then I'm also having my own scriptures that I need to study for personal growth as well. But then also because I'm trying to grow certain things, the areas that were weakness in my life, like finances and health, the things that was a struggle for me, then now I'm getting all kinds of teachings. Okay. Like I'm listening to different podcasts relating to that as well. So I have ebook subscriptions. I have Audible. Okay. Listening. There's no excuse, Linda. Amazon Prime, where I can get books shipped to me. So in all different modes, I also use this particular app. I think it's called Headway. I can definitely, if it's incorrect, I make sure that I change it in the description. But that was one of those tools where if I don't have time to read the whole book and I just want to read a summary of it, kind of like Cliff Notes in a way, then I look at that and then it's like, oh yeah, I do need to purchase this book because I need to go in detail and see more. So there's no excuse, right? I have to grow. Okay. We have to grow. So in order for me to grow in the other areas of my life, guess what? I have to grow mentally and I have to challenge myself. So the whole goal of this particular show today or episode today is more so just really allowing this to be my accountability as well. And so I hope and pray that the things that I'm sharing with you is encouraging you to take a look at certain things. We cannot go blindly living a life just like, okay, not look at anything, not looking at our finances, not looking at our health. Okay. When we get blood tests, we need to look at those numbers so we can compare it to previous years or previous months. So we have to look at things in order to be a great steward over the things that God has called us to. Okay. So I want you to take a look at your stuff. Okay. Take a look. Let me know how it's going. And, one of the things that I want to share, one of the areas that I'm called to is mission work, international mission. And I'm calling for all business owners, anyone who has a business, to partner with me, for me to be your missions arm when it comes to these international mission trips. So I'm actually getting ready to go to South Africa. And listen, there's a thing about being a sender, the one that's going, and the one that prays. Okay. And we need all three of them. Okay. All three. All three. Mission does not work if you don't have all three. So I'm inviting you, if even if you don't have a business, I'm still inviting you to partner with me and doing these missions endeavors. And at the end of the day, the biggest things that we're focusing on in South Africa, and I'm partnering with my church, Faith Consulate, and then also with Dr. Bailey, her ministry as well. And the things that what our focus is within that is Center for Technology Learning and Development. And basically that's been my pastor's vision. And that's also my vision as well, is really helping people to equip them with the skills so they can grow, so they can do the things that God has called them to do, and put money in their pocket so they can make a living. Okay. So that's what that's all about, is teaching them, certain life skills, of course, but teaching them also computer skills so they can be computer literate, so they can be able to receive jobs. Okay, so they can receive income, so they can get out of poverty. That's a big deal. You can't, again, you can't turn a blind eye to the things that's happening in the world because it does impact you, right? And so I'm inviting you to be a business sponsor, and I'll make sure that you have the link at the bottom where you can do any amount. And we do have a tax deductible where it will be tax deductible for you if you donate. All right. So before I leave, I want to challenge you to subscribe. So we're on YouTube now. I'm actually going to be having some episodes on YouTube. And then, of course, all the platforms for podcasts, we're on there as well. If you believe this teaching was helpful, share with a friend. Show love. That's a way of showing love, right? Share with a friend. And so I want you to always remember, I am your partner in faith. We got this. I'm your cheerleader. I'm cheering you on. Until next time, have a great day.